Hello, my darling, and welcome to today's story time. Hopefully, you are enjoying our 100-day Dante challenge, or at the very least, falling asleep. And now, on with our story time. Canto XI. Upon the utmost verge of a high bank, by craggy rocks environed round, we came, where woes beneath more cruel yet were stowed, and here to shun the horrible excess of fetid exultation. Upward cast, from the profound abyss, behind the lid of a great monument, we soon retired, where on this scroll I marked, I have in charge Pope Anastasius, whom Photinus drew from the right path. Ere our descent behooves we make delay, that somewhat first the sense to the dire breath accustomed, afterward regarded not. My master thus, to whom answering I spake, some compensation find that the time past not wholly lost. He then, lo, how my thoughts even to thy wishes tend. My son, within these rocks, he thus began. Are 3 close circles in gradation placed, as these which now thou leavest. Each one is full of spirits accursed, but that the sight alone hereafter may suffice thee. Listen how, and for what cause endurance they abide. Of all malicious act abhorred in heaven, the end is injury, and all such end either by force or fraud. Works others woe but fraud, because of man peculiar evil to God is more displeasing, and beneath the fraudulent are therefore doomed to endure severer pang. The violent occupy all the first circle, and because to force 3 persons are obnoxious, in 3 rounds, each within other separate is it framed, to God, his neighbor, and himself, by man force, may be offered, to himself I say, and his possessions, as thou soon shalt hear at full, death, violent death, and painful wounds upon his neighbor, he inflicts, and wastes by devastation, pillage, and the flames, his substance. Slayers, and each one that smites in malice, plunderers, and all robbers, hence the torment undergo the first round in different herds. Man can do violence to himself and his own blessings, and for this he in the second round must I deplore with unavailing penitence his crime. Whoever deprives himself of life and light, in reckless lavishment his talent wastes, and sorrows there, where he should dwell in joy. To God may force be offered, in the heart, denying, then blaspheming his high power, and nature with her kindly law contemning, and thence the inmost round marks with its seal Sodom and cohors, and all such as speak contemptuously of the Godhead in their hearts. Fraud, that in every conscience leaves a sting, may be by man employed on one, whose trust he wins, or on another, who withholds strict confidence, seems as the latter way broke but the bond of love which nature makes, whence in the second circle have their nest dissimulation, witchcraft, flatteries, theft, falsehood, simony, all who seduce to lust, or set their honesty at pawn. With such vile scum as these, the other way forgets both nature's general love, and that which thereto added afterwards gives birth to special faith. Whence, in the lesser circle, point of the universe, dread seat of Dis, The traitor is eternally consumed. I thus, instructor, clearly thy discourse proceeds distinguishing the hideous chasm and its inhabitants with skill exact. But tell me this, they of the dull, fat pool, whom the rain beats, or whom the tempest drives, or who with tongues so fierce conflicting meet, wherefore, within the city fire illumed, are not these punished, if God's wrath be on them? And if it be not, wherefore in such guise are they condemned? The answer thus returned, wherefore in dotage wanders thus thy mind, not so accustomed, or what other thoughts possess it? Dwell not in thy memory the words, wherein thy ethic page describes 3 dispositions adverse to heaven's will: incontinence, malice, and mad brutishness, and how incontinence the least offends God, and least guilt incurs. If well thou note this judgment, and remember who they are, without these walls to vain repentance doomed, thou shalt discern why they apart are placed from these fell spirits, unless wreakful pours justice divine on them its vengeance down. O Son, who healest all in perfect sight, thou so content'st me, when thou solv'st my doubt, that ignorance not less than knowledge charms, yet somewhat turn thee back. Why in these words continued, where thou saidst that usury offends celestial goodness, and this not, perplexed unravel? He thus made reply, philosophy to an attentive ear clearly points out, not in one part alone, how imitative nature takes her course from the celestial mind and from its art, and where her laws the stagirite unfolds, not many leaves scanned over, observing well thou shalt discover that your art on her obsequious follows, as the learner treads in his instructor's step, so that your art deserves the name of second in descent from God. These two, if thou recall to mind creation's holy book, from the beginning, were the right source of life and excellence to humankind. But in another path the usurer walks, and nature in herself and in her follower thus he sets at naught, placing elsewhere his hope. But follow now my steps on forward journey bent, for now the Pisces play with undulating glance along the horizon, and the wane lies all over the northwest, and onward there is a space is our steep passage down the rocky height. And this, my darling, ends our story time for today. As always, I hope that you have very sweet and creepy dreams.